Well, a very good day, YouTubers, and you join me but a stone's throw from the harbour town of Largs. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that. On the west coast of Scotland. Firstly, a little disclaimer that yes, it's pretty much guaranteed that I will make a complete pig's ear of countless Scottish place names, unintentionally, of course. I'm currently on a campsite in the grounds of Kelburn Castle, which comes complete with a spectacular view of the west coast of Scotland, and that is Arran with the big mountains in the far distance, which is where I'm going to be heading tomorrow and where I'll be starting the first of my motorcycle road trips, the ones that I'm filming, that is. I've been on many road trips before, all round England, Scotland, France, and yeah, there's no other way to see vast swathes of the countryside and countries. Tomorrow morning I'll be catching a ferry from the town of Ardrossan. See, I got that one correct. And that's about 5 or 6 miles in that direction, heading south down the coast, where I'll be catching a ferry, Calmac ferries. I think it's the Isle of Arran, MV Isle of Arran, that I'll be travelling on. And the journey takes around about 3/4 an hour. Right, well, I'm all set for tomorrow. The weather the past few days has been absolutely fabulous, and it's set to continue. The start of the road trip, I delayed it for a couple of weeks because we just had one terrible storm after another. But the outlook is sunny and dry and warm. And yeah, in the morning, that's where I'm going. On this road trip, I'll be riding across 6 Scottish islands and undertaking 9 ferry journeys. Starting on the west coast of the Scottish mainland, I'll be catching the ferry at Ardrossan and travelling to Brodick on the Isle of Arran. Once exploring Arran, I'll head north to the tiny little port of Lacranza, where I'll board the ferry to Clayoneg, once again on the Scottish mainland. Riding north, I arrive at the port of Oban, where I take the ferry to Craigniur on the Isle of Mull. Once riding round Mull, I'll travel to Tobermory on the north coast, and once again take the ferry back to the Scottish mainland. Riding northwest, I arrive at the very colourful and busy town of Mull, where I board the ferry to Armadale on the Isle of Skye. Eventually arrive at Uig on the north coast of Skye and travel by ferry to Tarbert on the Isle of Harris and Lewis. After spending a few days here, I ride to Stornoway and once again voyage back to the Scottish mainland at Ullapool. Where I then ride across the north of Scotland to the very small port of Scrabster. Catching the ferry to Stromness on the Isle of Orkney. After spending a few days riding around the greater part of Orkney, I board the ferry at Kirkwall, where I then journey 111 miles north to the town of Lerwick on the Isle of Shetland, where I make my way as far north as it's possible to travel on Shetland on the public highway, and end this journey at the tiny little area of Isbister. Have a good one. Well, here goes then. Not only is this my first time going to Arran, this is also the first ever motorcycle road trip I'll be filming. A little nervous because I've no idea how it's going to turn out. I shall just apply the same philosophy I did to Travels by Narrowboat, which is I film what catches my eye, what I like, and just basically do what I like. Well, they've closed the of course they're repairing the road, so they've closed that, so I need to go out the other way. Oh well, there's a good start. Right, the ferry goes from Ardrossan, departs at 12:30, takes about 3/4 of an hour. Last check-in is 12 o'clock. It's now 20 to 9. So I'm going to pop into Largs and get a coffee from Greg's. A nice decaf latte to start the day. And hopefully I will be able to convey to you, if you don't ride a bike, the absolute joy of touring and travelling on a motorbike. The complete immersion in the scenery that you're travelling through and the freedom it provides. It must be rush hour. It's also very cold. This is Largs. Large. I need to look up, don't I? If this was Wales, it'd probably be Lach. Well, that's me refueled, and I refueled the bike yesterday, brimmed the tank. So on this bike I'm good for about another 320 miles before I need to find another petrol station. Next stop, Ardrossan and its ferry terminal. But also there's an Asda nearby according to Google Maps. So I think I'll just get something for today, because on Arran is also apparently a co-op. I thought it was going to be just like little scattered village shops. Depending on the day of the week, it'll have eggs, possibly bacon, bread and milk, that sort of thing. But no, there are several fully laden co-op supermarkets. It's quite a surprise. Yeah, still a bit chilly for the helmet open. Which is good for the audio. Gets a lot clearer. I mean, surprisingly, you know, even with the helmet open, the audio is quite excellent. Not so much in side winds though. So there may be a few occasions when the weather's nice, you know, the sun's out and it's warm and I've got the helmet open, but you know, if you're up on a mountain or something, you get gusts from the side. But you know, can't all be perfect, can it? Fairly. Fairly Bowling Club. As I was making my way up through Scotland from the border, I was passing through villages and towns. At certain times they took on the appearance of Swiss chalets, almost little Swiss towns, little Swiss hillside villages. I have my sat-nav set for twisty route, and that's exactly what it's doing. It's now going to take me up some fabulous windy tracks and scenery with a bit of luck. It's never disappointed once, this sat-nav. Incredible. See what I mean? I will run out of superlatives on this trip, I have no doubt. You know, superb, amazing, incredible, beautiful, stunning, staggering, awe-inspiring, jaw-dropping, gobsmacking. But it will all be justified. Quite expansive scenery there. In case there's anyone who's not from the UK who's wondering why the roads are so narrow, because I've seen comments on other sort of motorcycle tour channels saying that you know, your British roads are very narrow and restrictive. These aren't what you would class as British roads. I mean, they're historic British roads, as in their country lanes, but in the main part, British roads are now, you know, 2 lanes wide, 4 lanes wide on a dual carriageway, and motorways 5, sometimes 6 lanes wide. But this is part of, you know, the old Britain. This is the original Britain, you know, from the birth of the motorised horseless carriage, things like that. Typically the speed limit, except through villages, is 60 miles an hour. Villages tend to be 30 miles an hour, although these days they're also down to 20 miles an hour, which has received mixed responses. What I like about these is they're never boring. I tend to steer clear of motorways because they're quite dull, which is why I like to set the sat-nav for twisty course. About 6.5 miles to Ardrossan, and the sat nav says I'm going to be there at 2 minutes past 10. It's now 9:42, which gives me plenty of time to get a little bit of shopping and then check in with time to spare. 4.5 miles to Ardrossan. Over there, I believe, is Arran, and I can just make out in the distance what looks like a ferry. Could that be the ferry? I think it is. Just down there. And over there in the distance, I think that's Elsa Craig, which is also the name of the engine in that historic narrowboat that I test rode, drove, floated, sailed. And now dropping down into Ardrossan by the look of it. Ardrossan town centre and ferry terminal. It's a very unusual main street, very wide and quite flat housing. Very unusual style of architecture. I spy with my little eye an Asda, so I'll pop in there and get a few things for tonight and possibly the morning as well. I won't film in there because in the UK many businesses, especially large corporations, tend to be a little bit paranoid if a camera appears while you're shopping. So this is Asda, or its original name, Associated Dairies. Once owned by Walmart, nonetheless. Well, that's the shopping sorted. Right, how do I get out of here? The ferry terminal isn't far at all, it's 700 yards according to this. Ah, here we go, Arran ferry. There's loads of like sailing yachts, all kinds of things. I hate these open level crossings, because you expect some train to just suddenly appear out of nowhere. Wow, it's 10 miles an hour along here. Will this bike do 10 miles an hour? I'm a little bit on the early side, just a bit. 10:31. Check-in finishes at 12. It doesn't say when it starts, but clearly it don't start yet. Right. Well, I think I'll go and have a little look around. Yeah. Or I could stay here. 10:31. Check-in must start at what? 11? What a glorious day for it. And I'm not the only biker who's looking forward to a trip to Arran. I'm very excited for this. Arran from over here looks incredible. Quite a cool breeze. It's not as cold as I thought it was going to be. And that is my boat coming in. She's a big old girl. A little bit bigger than Aslan. Okay. Arran, here I come. One thing this demonstrates, this road trip so far, is it's a lot easier to film canal travel. We are on the Isle of Arran. Nearly said the Isle of Man then. Words are just useless.